It is impossible to imagine the world without plastic. This versatile material is essential to daily life and is used for just about everything in every industry worldwide. Plastic makes life easier, and the lightweight, flexible, and durable properties of plastic make it ideal for everyday use. And with plastic products becoming cheaper and easier to create, most plastics are designed to be used only once before they are thrown away. But you can't just throw away plastic. While its durability is an enormous asset in plastic goods are in use, it is the same durability that's causing mass pollution and becoming a major environmental and human health hazard. So, earlier this year, the UN endorsed a historic resolution to end plastic pollution with the aim of creating a new legally binding plastics treaty by 2024. This treaty will have the idea of the circular economy at its core, where plastic will be recycled in a closed loop to minimize pollution. Now, as we've seen with many treaties, the idea behind it is great, but there is the glaring issue of implementation, especially in resource-constrained developing countries. Developing countries bear the brunt of first world development, and now find themselves having to develop or under restrictions from international treaties. In addition, plastic is difficult to regulate, and regulation methods to date have been largely costly and ineffective. But we have solutions. Countries can implement a new treaty through the use of incentive-based regulation for managing the environment. Incentive-based regulation aims to reward good environmental behavior as opposed to punishing bad behavior. It's low cost, and many countries actually have the correct law and policy framework in place already for incentive-based regulation to be a useful tool. So, for example, recycling is an easy concept, but most people don't actually do it. We need a way to encourage people to recycle to prevent a plastic disaster, and incentive-based regulation is one such way to do it. So currently, my example, we pay municipalities one rate for waste collection and removal. This means that no matter how much we waste, we pay the same fee at the end of the month. But what if instead we ask people to pay per black bag of waste removed? This new rate can be based on someone's tax bracket, so it won't be too high to not disproportionately advantage the poor, and it won't be too low, otherwise the rich would just simply pay it. This would make people separate recyclable material and plastic out of the general waste to produce fewer black bags and therefore pay less. This is their reward for their good behavior and incentivizes plastic recycling at the same time. Incentives, which is just one example of an incentive, are going to be monumental for the implementation of a new treaty, the move towards a circular economy, and the fight against plastic pollution. Incentives are a way in which we can break the wall of plastic regulation. Thank you.
It goes without saying that population growth and globalization have led to global crises that are converging to undermine food security. Today, it is estimated that 1 in 10 people worldwide suffer from hunger, while 1 in 3 people lack regular access to food. To meet the growing demand for protein-rich foods, the commercial fishing industry expanded rapidly in the mid-20th century, reaching an all-time high in 1989. Today, however, our oceans are overfished and fish biodiversity is decreasing, particularly as climate change is growing ever pervasive. According to a 2006 study, if overfishing continues unabated, the world's fisheries will collapse by 2048. Enter farmed fish. The aquaculture industry has grown rapidly over the years. Currently, more than half the seafood that we consume comes from aquaculture, while it is predicted that by 2030, more than 60% of the growing demand for protein-rich foods will be met by aquaculture. However, as with any food production system, there are caveats, and aquaculture isn't immune to unsustainable practices and high costs. For example, animal feed for farmed fish accounts for up to 60% of total production costs in commercial farms, while overfeeding has led to negative impacts on the environment through eutrophication. If aquaculture farms can be fine-tuned in terms of operational processes, the stress on fish can be reduced, farming practices can be improved, and production yields can be improved as well as reducing costs. Our solution utilizes a protein biomarker. This is a molecular signature to accurately monitor the impact of farming activities on farmed fish and shellfish, so that farming practices and animal health can be optimized. Current animal health management practices in the aquaculture industry are notoriously time-consuming and extremely reactive. If farmers, aquaculture vets, and fish feed companies can effectively and proactively assess the health of their animals, farming practices and feeds can be optimized to ensure sustainability and improve production of high-quality fish. And as someone who is passionate about sustainability and climate change, I really believe that the use of biotechnology to improve the way humans farm seafood will unequivocally reduce our reliance and impact on the oceans, as well as ensuring a more sustainable approach to high protein food yield to meet the growing global demand. Thank you.
In the next 2 minutes, I will attempt to convince you that our skin is the key to changing the way that we take medication and wear clothes forever. But first, we have to take a look into our past. Humans didn't always have the high rates of chronic disease that we have today, such as obesity, hypertension, and diabetes. We once lived lifestyles that aligned with the behaviors that produced wellness. But in the advent of modern society, now we actually have to carve time out of our busy work schedules to exercise, or go out of our way to purchase foods, certain foods, just to be healthy. And now with more of the world taking prescription medication, it's become more difficult than ever to adhere to these prescriptions, taking them at a certain time of day, taking them at a certain dosage. But what if taking medication was more aligned with our lifestyle? What if taking your medicine was as easy as putting on clothes? Allow me to present to you wearable medicine. This technology is designed to allow your clothing to deliver medicine to your skin, which is then transdermally absorbed into your bloodstream. And there are 3 advantages to this technology. First, by transdermally absorbing your medicine and bypassing the digestive system, we avoid the metabolism that reduces the effectiveness of our drugs, meaning that a smaller dose is needed to be absorbed transdermally to receive the same effects. 2, skin, our largest organ, has a built-in reservoir in our dermis, allowing us to absorb medication, which can then be dose-controlled released into our bloodstream for 48 hours. And lastly, taking medication to the clothes that we wear seamlessly aligns with our lifestyle. This technology is adapted from transdermal patches for things such as nicotine, and is most effective in garments that have intimate contact with our skin, such as socks or undergarments. South Africans have a 52% chance of dying from a non-communicable disease. And now our global population, our aging population, more than ever needs innovative solutions that make healthy behaviors easier and more aligned with our lifestyles. And this technology has the potential to change the way we take medication and wear clothes forever. Thank you.
Imagine one moment if you have in your flat some water, or you don't have water or either electricity. What are you going to do? But now for those who are in their farm, they have water that is not useful. That means we need to bring some solution. That is why the team where I am the leader, surrounded with 2 PhD ladies, we have decided to identify some problems, specifically in Durban, and secondly, also around the mining sector. The water that you can see is present over there, but once they are in your borehole, they would be like the brine wastewater, containing heavy metal such as copper, magnesium, zinc, and so on. Therefore, we need to bring some solution. This solution is a biological product manufactured by us in our lab in UNISA, Florida campus, capable to adapt, that is the bacteria, aerophilic bacteria, that would be consuming our brine wastewater to release pure water for our middle-income crops farmers in the country. So we are in the lab and we are going to produce this so that the water can be clean. Secondly, how it works, you take just the powder, you open the lid, that green borehole, and then you introduce your powder. After 5 days, you will be watering your farm to have those vegetables as you can see. This one has been produced in our lab and now is going to sustain the goal, the SDG 1 in South Africa, and also enable other people to move forward with farming activities in our country. Thank you.
Okay, greetings. 16 billion square meters of tiles were produced globally in 2020, formed in temperatures in excess of 1,000 degrees Celsius. Ceramics can account for almost 2% of all energy used in the country. This industry has barely changed in thousands of years. While natural gas is commonly used in the global industry, South Africa and other countries use energy derived from coal. This means that no matter what the energy source, carbon dioxide is released into the atmosphere. Therefore, innovative methods of producing tiles that utilize less energy and have a lower impact on the environment are required. This industry needs to be disrupted. The solution? Biotiles. The biomimetic process is used, inspired by nature, whereby specific bacteria catalyze a reaction to form biocement. Fundamentally, carbonate and calcium ions combine to form calcium carbonate. This is what is found in seashells. And we use this technology to make biotiles. A substance called nacre, also known as mother of pearl, can be formed on the surface of the tile to enhance the aesthetics. And this is done with one small process tweak. The overall process can be automated using a 3D printer, which makes it flexible and highly scalable. And instead of the sand or clay commonly used in tiles, we can instead use unrecyclable glass or plastic or even mine tailings. You name it. As long as the particles can be of the right size, they can be biocemented together. This is how I'm breaking the wall of sustainable tile manufacturing, helping industries manage their waste while creating circular economies. Forget cheap products like bricks. Tiles are far more valuable. In South Africa, we have a 3.5 billion rand industry. That's 74% greater than that generated by bricks. This means that the idea has the potential to be profitable and also change an age-old industry radically for the first time. In doing so, carbon dioxide emissions and energy dependency is reduced. Carbon dioxide is actually sequestered in this process, and we also help reduce the amount of waste sent to landfill. Therefore, breaking the wall of tile manufacturing actually helps tackle climate change. Thank you.
Good afternoon, everybody. All right, there's a common saying that says, thank a farmer if you ate today. Let's talk about farmers. There are 33 million smallholder farmers in sub-Saharan Africa, from which 70% of the continent's food supply is produced. Globally, this translates to 600 million smallholder farmers producing a third of the world's food. But there is a problem, and the problem is these smallholder farmers make up the majority of the world's poor. Let's talk about why. This is what a typical supply chain looks like. Let's break down the problem a little bit further. The first problem is what I call systemic information asymmetry. As you can see, you've got the producer on the left, that's a smallholder farmer, and on the right, you've got the consumer like yourself or myself, and in between, there are multiple profit-taking intermediaries who take advantage of the fact that the supply chain is opaque. The farmer doesn't have access to the final buyer, the farmer doesn't have access to the latest pricing, and the farmer is then subjected to being a price taker. The second problem is that a farmer does not, if you ask a farmer today, what have you produced in the last 12 months, in what quantity, who have you sold to, and how much have you made? They cannot answer this because they track this on paper, or sometimes they don't even track it at all, which takes away from their credibility. The common thread in all of this is data. Now, how are we trying to solve this? We are proposing to break the wall of smallholder farmer poverty using the footprint chatbot that we have designed. This is a chatbot that is available over WhatsApp that basically allows a farmer to take part in a digital supply chain where they can suddenly take part in a smaller, shorter, localized supply chain. They'll be able to gain credibility, they'll be more discoverable, and basically access more information, pricing, and ultimately become more profitable. How have we designed this? We've designed this using WhatsApp so that any farmer in an African context or in an emerging market context can send a message to our platform and become a part of this platform and start taking advantage of its features. We've also made use of blockchain technology so that these farmers are in charge of their data, so that the supply chain data is traceable and transparent, and help these farmers leapfrog into business models of the future, because this is where the world's is growing. We believe our solution will help farmers to earn more income, take care of zero hunger SDG, help them to become more economically active, help them reduce food waste, and ultimately take part in innovative business models for the future. And as I started, I will conclude. Thank a farmer if you ate today.
My father still builds houses for a living, and for the past 5 years I've been working closely with him. And that's how I discovered that there's an increasing demand for green and sustainable construction products. And it's currently understood that a transition towards a low-carbon economy is urgently needed. In particular, let me tell you about the furnace-fed bricks. Each unit emits up to 1 kilogram during its production. To put things into perspective, an average 5-room house built from these is inherently responsible for 40 tons of carbon dioxide emissions. This translates to an environmental cost of 125,000 rands, and this is just for one house. Another issue, plastics. Can you imagine that a garbage truck full of plastic waste is tossed into the ocean for every minute? How do you feel about that? In South Africa alone, about 2.4 million tons of plastic waste are generated per annum with a recycling rate of less than 15%. The balance goes to the landfills and the oceans, destroying aquatic life. There's clearly cause for a change. Well, what do we do? Lola Green uses plastic waste together with other additives to manufacture durable bricks. And we do this innovatively using plastic waste. Sorry, I messed it up there. Okay. Well, what do we do? Lola Green kills two birds with one stone. We convert plastic waste mixed with other additives in order to produce durable bricks in our address for the growing demand for green and sustainable construction products. We are breaking the walls of highly carbon-intensive bricks by providing an alternative that's got a high impact on social, economic, and environmental fabrics. Fire-resistant, uses 5 times less energy to produce, twice as strong, made from 99% waste, 0 cement, 0 water, a quick production process of less than an hour per unit, 20% lighter, same application as your furnace-made bricks, and it's very easy to use. An average 5-room house built from these will see the removal of 40 tons of plastic waste from our environment. We source our waste plastics from waste pickers and packaging companies just before any damage to our ecosystems. Just in case you are still not convinced to support Lola Green, fast forward to 2050. Ladies and gentlemen, you just witnessed the collapse of our oceans in plastic waste. Thank you.
The 21st century has graced us with so many products and services that we can now do things at the comfort of our homes. Let's take the simple but genius ideas such as Uber Eats, a service that allows you to order food online and get it delivered to your doorstep in just 10 to 15 minutes. What a great privilege for us as human beings to be able to use services that provide us with so much convenience. Except, most of these services are non-existent in Black communities. They are non-existent in underserved markets. The question then becomes, how do we solve this? How do we make sure that underserved markets have access to services such as these? The answer to this is that we cannot. I put it to you that we simply cannot. The only solution to this is to come up with community-based solutions such as cloud deliveries. Cloud deliveries is a delivery service that is similar to Uber Eats, except it uses bicycles to do deliveries. It does deliveries to local restaurants, supermarkets, and other stores within the community. 3 of the many benefits of using community-based solutions is that when your Uber Eats will use an app, cloud deliveries would use WhatsApp. When your Uber Eats would use motorbikes, cloud deliveries would use bicycles, which are environmentally friendly. When your Uber Eats would employ just for the sake of employing, cloud deliveries would employ local people. So, as a member of an underserved community, when you request community-based services, you're not only requesting convenience, but you're empowering a young entrepreneur. You're empowering an innovator. You're empowering a young person. So therefore, for underserved markets to enjoy some of these 21st century services, they need to start creating community-based solutions. And in that way, we'll be hitting the nail right on the head. Thank you so much.
1 in 10 pregnant African women will develop gestational diabetes. If undiagnosed, both the mother and the infant are at high risk of developing other metabolic diseases as well as labor complications. In low-resource communities, the oral glucose tolerance test cannot be used for widespread diagnostics because multiple clinic visits are required and several blood samples have to be taken in a day over a period of several hours. It is also labor-intensive and expensive. So what if I told you that the key to breaking the wall of gestational diabetes in low-resource communities lies in our hair? Hair stores a chronological timeline of the metabolic changes that take place in each trimester. A previous study found hair biomarkers in the second trimester that are able to predict the onset of disease in the third trimester. Our study is going to validate these biomarkers in diverse biochemical hair types instead of using race-based hair classification in an attempt to move away from race-based medicine. Our second goal is to develop a battery-operated point-of-care hair diagnostic tool for gestational diabetes. This tool will use mass spectrometry to identify the specific metabolite signature of gestational diabetes in scalp hair. The tool will be powered using solar rechargeable batteries, and it will be easy enough for clinicians to use in clinics, and the diagnostic data from the device will be transferred using Bluetooth to a mobile device, such as a cell phone or tablet, where it is analyzed and interpreted on site. The data can then be later uploaded using mobile data to a server for centralized storage and further data analytics. The use of our tool for early intervention will enable simple changes, such as changes to diet and lifestyle, before the onset of disease in high-risk pregnancies. And this will drastically reduce the number of pregnant women that will go on to develop the disease, as well as the severity of the disease. The use of our battery-operated point-of-care hair diagnostic tool aligns with the World Health Organization's mandate to reduce maternal deaths and neonatal deaths. Prevention is better than cure. Thank you.
So 96% of the rural households in Africa have access to proper refrigeration. Many families and farmers in these areas are forced to look on where food runs before they can consume it or before it reaches the consumer. Communities in these areas are at a high risk of experiencing hunger or contracting foodborne illnesses due to poor refrigeration methods. Rural hospitals and pharmacies, they face a lot of challenges in order to maintain their vaccines in their medicine at optimal temperatures, and they're sometimes forced to use costly endocytosis generators. Refrigerators are one of the biggest consumers of the household electricity, and in light of the recent load shedding, sustainable refrigeration will not only help to conserve electricity but to provide reliable storage. So the solution for sustainable refrigeration is an electric fridge. So the idea is that when ammonium nitrate is mixed with water, an endothermic reaction occurs where heat is transferred from the system to the environment. So and the temperature drops. So when the right amount of ammonium nitrate and water is mixed together, the temperature drops to about 0 degrees Celsius, which is the optimum temperature for the refrigeration. So the mixture of ammonium nitrate and water will act as a coolant inside the refrigeration circuit. And the fridge, the coolant circulates through the fridge in coils like the ones used in electric refrigerators. So at the bottom of the fridge is the vacuum cooling compartment where the coolant flows through and heat transfers. Okay, so that's cool. The vacuum cooling compartment is a low pressure system, and at low pressures, liquid water turns into water vapor, meaning that it boils at a lower temperature. So as the water evaporates, it takes energy into the atmosphere, and the system is cooled, thereby cooling the compartment. So the compartment continuously generates the low temperature for the system, and thereby keeping the refrigerator cool. And the coolant continuously flows from the coils to the compartment, forming a cycle that consistently keeps the refrigerator cool. And then the refrigerator casing is made up of insulator to prevent heat gain by conduction, convection, and radiation. So ammonium nitrate is found in fertilizer, which is already used in agriculture, therefore it is readily available to the general public. The refrigerator is very easy and affordable to manufacture as it makes use of readily available resources, and it makes use of minimum water, which will be continuously used in the system, therefore there is no need for refilling. The non-electric refrigerator will indirectly prevent global warming as it prevents the use of refrigerants that are damaging the ozone layer, and I believe sustainable refrigeration will be a good way to spark an economic transformation and empower Africans. Thank you.
Straight A's from an Ivy League university or a long list of skill sets doesn't show you the whole story. Essentially, what you're doing is you're using a rigid, lackluster, and probably even copied resume template to hire a new employee. That's the thing about resumes. They're good at showing you some things, but they're not good at showing you the intangibles, the human behind the resume. Because I'm in a room full of innovators in the field of science, I know for a fact that the world is moving towards using advanced science to do various things. Why is it that my industry, HR and recruitment, is still using science developed in the 1970s to help us with our hiring processes? As a former recruiter and business owner, I've learned that business is simple, but humans are complicated, and it's about time that we adapt to a new way of hiring that looks beyond the CV. I am the founder of One Way Connect, and we're developing a cultural quality-focused job matching and recruitment management software, and I'm here to tell you about how we're shaping the future of hiring. So why is now the best time to solve this problem? Well, hiring is hard, but COVID-19 made it much harder because the increased unemployment rate has resulted in companies and recruiters wasting time going through hundreds of CVs just to hire one candidate. A myopic focus on the resume instead of the overall culture fit of the candidate is the reason why companies are facing employee retention problems. We're developing an innovative software that uses AI matching technology as well as psychometric assessments in the form of gamification so that you can hire the right human and not the right matching keywords. Our software goes above and beyond to assess attitudes, values, competence, and culture fit to ensure that you hire an overall purposeful performer. Our AI matching technology will do the heavy lifting for you so you don't have to go through hundreds of CVs just to find one candidate, and our psychometric assessments and games will ensure that you see the personality, the behavior, as well as the emotional intelligence of the candidate so that you can see their communication ability as well as their potential for leadership. Factors such as personality and their approach to work as well as communication skills are vital in helping you see how suited somebody is for the job and for the company as a whole. That's why we'll be providing you with insights on personality traits, their logical processing, their attitude for solving problems, as well as how they analyze a set of data so that you can determine how well they work with the team, their management style, as well as their approach to risk-taking or following the rules. This will give you assurance that the candidate that you're dealing with is competent and also provide you with the necessary information to inform your future hiring decisions. I'm proud to say that we are currently in the process of developing our first prototype, and we look forward to engaging with more people in the HR and recruitment space to transform recruiting processes. Thank you.
I am breaking the wall of electricity crisis by harnessing energy from lightning. South Africa experiences widespread rolling blackouts as energy supply falls behind demand due to insufficient generating capacity, and that leads to regular implementation of load shedding. Load shedding has hit us so bad economically, academically, and domestically. Did you know that lightning can be our alternative source of energy, with each lightning bolt carrying about 5 billion joules of energy, which is equivalent to 5,000 megawatts. And that can be accomplished using an ionized high-power laser called transversely excited atmospheric gas laser, which would act as an atmospheric conduit to capture the electrical discharges of lightning and direct them to the ground station for harvesting. A laser is an acronym for light amplification, by stimulated emission of radiation. It consists of a cascade, which is a series of circuits where the output of one circuit is the input of the another. It also this laser also consists of a pair of electrodes. An electrode is a device that conducts electricity and is used to make contact with non-metallic part of a circuit. This laser needs to be ionized first in order to neutralize the surrounding insulative materials, so that, as we all know, that lightning is dangerous to the electronic systems as it can cause a surge. So it needs to be ionized first to neutralize the surrounding insulative and dielectric materials. This laser will be connected to ultra-high voltage power loop to charge superconducting magnetic energy storages. And as we've heard that ESCOM is in a mission of developing a new battery energy storage system. This system can also charge that battery energy system for ESCOM and feed the grid thereafter. And lightning is sporadic, so the system needs to be installed in an area where lightning occurs frequently. And according to South African Weather SA, Johannesburg is the great location for the installation